Today is our second day on special sessions 8 with the title of Initiating and Sustaining Transformations and Change in Engineering Education. And myself is Dr. Shamsul Riza Abdul Shukur from USM. And with us we have three eminent speakers. One, we have Prof. Anette Kolmos on the far right, who's currently the director of UNESCO Center for Problem-Based Learning in Engineering, Science and Sustainability from Aalborg University. And then we have Prof. Emanuela Tille, who is the head of the Integrated Engineering Program in UCL, University College of London. And last but not least, we have Prof. Julia Williams, who's the interim dean for the cross-cutting programs and emerging opportunities institution of Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. So just to inform the delegates, we are having a 9-minute session, and the way we're going to conduct this session is basically the first speaker going to talk about roughly 10 to 15 minutes, followed by the second speaker and the third speaker, and at the end of the session, you're going to have one fun activity for all of you, all right? Okay, so without further ado, I would like to welcome Prof. Anette Kolmos.
Thank you. Morning. Are you here? Oh, I'm really lucky being on stage late evenings when you are eating, and now I was expecting that you had breakfast. Never mind. I'm happy to be here. Can this move? Can I just take it out? Okay. I'm happy to be here, and we'll try to be a little bit short here. So I think the most important is actually that you are discussing among each other on different kinds of change strategies and learning from each other. What are you doing around the world? I will start out. And what I'm presenting here, it's actually 3 different change strategies. And it's based on an article that I did together with Roger Hadcraft, sitting down there, not attending right now, but you are here, Roger, good. And we looked at these different change strategies with inspiration from Sterling, who have made a study on education, or he is within Education for Sustainable Development. So if we look at the different strategies, it's actually that we have the first one, it's the add-on strategy. And it's in a linear block system, and it is within the single courses. This is the most common strategy for change that we see all over the world. And it's also that it has some limitations. I'll go back to that. The second one is what we call the integration strategy. It is much more a system approach. It's much more the CDIO. We have had the CDIO conceive, design, implement, and operate the MIT, KTH, and Chalmers network with more than 160 institutions today. And it's much more an institutional approach where you coordinate. A little bit of what I actually tried to tell you yesterday. If you listened, I don't know, I couldn't hear. People were eating and my soup was cold. Never mind. The last strategy is a rebuilding strategy, and which is definitely a system approach. And which is also, if we talk about disruption, it is where you're building up new institutions. And this is a disruption strategy, because you cannot just change from one culture to another and change totally. I think when you disrupt, you have to build up something new. But just say a little bit more about the add-on strategy, because it is this bottom-up strategy that we see. Academics are allowed to do whatever they want to do within their own courses. They are course owners. Don't go into my door. We have silos. And when I do a course, well, I can do whatever I want to. It's also what we see with these various add-on strategies around the world. We see that people, when we have had these with the competences, that the students should learn more competences. And what we have seen in Europe especially is that you have local centers around. So you send students outside the formal curriculum to learn about project management, collaboration, etc. And when you learn in this way, you are actually not learning in such a deep way as if you did it within your discipline. Because you need to know how you are sharing knowledge within the discipline. Otherwise, the learning will not really take place, or you have to transfer. Then we see a lot of these extracurriculum activities, co-curricular activities, and I'm a little bit, is this really a way to change? And especially in the US, I hope I'm not offending anybody. These co-curricular and extracurricular activities have been on the agenda for many years. And this is service learning, where you go out and you have community interaction with activities that's outside the curriculum. And I'm just thinking, okay. It can be one way of changing a curriculum, actually. And these can be elements that merge into a bigger system. But why is it that students should have all the fun outside the curriculum and not inside the curriculum? I simply don't understand it. Never mind. If we look at this single course and add-on strategy, you can say that for each discipline, for each course, you have a small project. And if students, they have 3 projects in parallel in the same semester, I can just tell you it will not work. So don't do this to the students, because they will be exhausted, they will be overwhelmed with all the work. As soon as you give the students or allow the students to work on things, then they are actually using a lot of time. So this will not work. It's an uncoordinated curriculum. And the uncoordinated curriculum, it's even worse, you can say, because you have some PBL, then you might have some PBL, and there is no progression. So what we see right now, actually, it is that at the UCL, University College London, at MIT, they do many more of these projects where you try to actually coordinate what is doing here, what are we doing there, map the different activities and put it into a system. And this is the way forward right now. I think that we also have a progression within the problem-based, project-based learning or active learning. So it's not only the disciplines. Okay, the integration strategy. It's a mapping, that you map the different elements. It's the integration of professional skills, and it's the integration also of company projects. And just very, very fast, if you integrate the competences, it can look like this. Or it can, you can integrate project management into the courses. You can integrate communication into the courses. But doing it in this way, you are aware where the students are learning it, and you can build up a progression. You can build up some kind of a scaffolding for them. And that is very important, because otherwise it's all, we leave everything to the students to coordinate and to get a grasp of the holistic curriculum. We don't help them. So this is a way of helping them out, actually. It can be entrepreneurship, it can be sustainability. So this is just a tool. And I see right now, especially in the UK, actually, that institutions are going into mapping of the different student-centered learning activities at the system level to try to make a progression. Okay, and if we talk about PBL, maybe it could just be one project. Maybe the project could actually go across the different courses. And that is actually where I think we should, in the direction we should go. Because we need to collaborate across the different disciplines. We have too many silos, we have too many boundaries, and we need to cross. And if I should point out at one of the real barriers for a change, I would say it is the discipline culture that we have created. Okay, I will not say very much about this. It's always a problem when you reduce the number of contact hours. And from our research, we have seen very clearly that actually it's not to supervise or facilitate students in project teams. It is to reduce the number of contact hours and what to put into that. And in Denmark, you know the Danes, they are not so clever. This is result from one of the change processes 20 years back. And we identified 3 different strategies for reduction of the contact hours. Some of them, 1/3, they actually did a reselection. Some of them, they just spoke faster. And the last group, they were just doing a laissez-faire. So they did it in the normal speed, and then they just went through half the textbook, and that's it. But they were not giving any tools for how to reselect the content. What is important, what is really important to teach and to tell students and to help the students to do, to learn, and what can students learn on their own. The last slide I'll put on here, it is with these different add-on integration strategy or rebuilding. I haven't done anything on rebuilding here. It will get too complicated. But you see, if you look at the curriculum, actually, these are small changes. This is much more competence integration. If you look at the system level, or level of systemic change, you have in the add-on strategy a systemic maintenance and optimization. And here in the integration strategy, it will be much more a negotiation. Also for the leading the systemic change, you will see that at the micro level, you will preserve and respond to external requirement, while here it's much more a strategic coordinator and motivator. And in the last, it's the faculty development strategy. And I think this is very important. You cannot change without having training. And here it's the focus on the individual level, while here in the integration strategy, it's really the institutional level within the discipline and across the disciplines. Thank you very much. One last thing. I have brought some sticks down there and some brochures for this conference that will take place next year. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Anette, for the insightful talk. Don't worry, there are plenty more after this. It's just an introduction to all of you.